Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode in our Python basic series. So today we are going to talk about something super important, which is type conversion. So now if you have ever tried adding a string and a number and got an error, or ever wondered how to turn your user input into numbers you can actually do math with. So this episode is for you. So grab your keyboard and let's get started. So first, what is type conversion? First things first, what does type conversion even mean? Type conversion is just a fancy way of saying changing a value from one data type to another. Like, for example, turning a string like 42 into a number 42, or changing a number into a string so you can join it with the text. So, why does this matter? Because in Python, different data types behave differently. You can't add a number to a string without converting it, or compare values correctly if they are different data types. So type conversion helps you data to handle the right way and avoid bugs. So let's start with converting to an integer. Say you get user input, and remember, input always comes in as a string. Like, for example, to or maybe text number equal to 42. And we need it to be integer number. So we are converting the text to an integer. So this will be using the int method, and inside we are going to give the text number. And now you can print integer number plus 10. Okay. So what we are expecting is this text is actually a 42, and we are converting it to integer 42, and 42 plus 10 will be 52. Let's check. Yep. So what we did here, we took the string 42 and used integer to turn it into a number. And now we can do math with that. So the pro tip is always use integer when you expect a whole number from user input, like age or quantity. So now let's say you have a number, but you want to combine it with the text. Like, for example, so integer number equal to some 1, 2, 3. And text number. So you are converting the text, sorry. So you are converting the integer to the string, which is text. So for that you will use string, which is str, and we are sending integer number here. Now you just have to print your score is plus text number. So what happening is, if you see, your score is 123. It worked because now it's a string. So what we did, we sent the number, we need it in string. So that is what we did. So we actually changed it to string by using the method str function. So, and then we have concatenated the string. That means we just added two strings so that it can print the expected result. So the pro tip here is anytime you are building a sentence with the numbers, you always have to convert them with the string first, and then you have to concatenate. You can also do something like this by just giving comma here, and you can still do that. But in some cases, we have to add plus in between, the strings. You have to concatenate. So at that time, This is really important. All right. What if you need to work with decimals? You can use float. So, like for example, you can see the text number here 3.14, and we need the decimal number. So, decimal number equal to, so float of the text number, and now we want decimal number into 2. Now if you run this, so here we are giving the text 3.14, which is in string, and we are converting it to the float because we need it in float. So then it will be text number, float of text number, and then we are actually doing it, multiplying it with 2. So that is what we are getting. So whenever you expect decimal numbers like prices or weights or measurements, always keep that in mind that we have to convert the text into the float. Finally, let's talk about converting to boolean or bool. Booleans are either true or false. We have already checked, like we have already worked with the data types before. I want you to go back. If you still have any doubts regarding the data types, then please go back and check the video, then come back here and start working on it. If you have any doubts, you can just drop down them in the comments. We are always here to help you. So, what if you want to check if a value is exist or is empty? So Python has a simple rule like 0, empty strings, empty list, and none are considered as false. So whatever the values that you give 0, or it could be any, like could be 0 or any empty string like this, or maybe any list. We are going to talk about that in the future. You don't have to worry about that first for now. And none. So then it will take these values are always false. Okay. So other than that, whatever you give will comes under true. Like for example, print bool of 0. So if you run this one, let me just keep everything in comments. So it is taking it as false. And like if you check 42, and let's just also give empty string as well. And then you can give look, and if you run this, if you see boolean of 0, is that true or false? So this function is always checks whether the value is true or false. So whenever you give 0 or empty string or none, then it will take it as false. So 0 is false and 42 is some value is there. So it will consider it as true other than 0, none, empty string. So here it is an empty string. So it is considering it as false. And here you gave some value. So it will take it as true. So you can use bool to quickly check if a value is empty or non-zero, which is super useful for conditions which we are going to talk about in the upcoming sessions. You don't have to worry. So the pro tip here is this is really a lifesaver when checking user input or optional parameters. And that's your crash course on type conversion in Python. And I think we have covered int for integers, string for strings, str for strings, and float for decimal numbers, and bool for, true or false. Master these four and you will be able to handle user input process data correctly, and avoid a ton of frustrating bugs. If this video helped you out, go ahead and like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode in this series. Thanks for coding with me, and I'll see you in the next one where we'll dive into even more cooler stuff.